Netflix's latest Indian original series, Cat, has an Udta Punjab hangover. I might as well mention it up top considering the show is going to get endlessly and understandably compared to that absolute triumph of a movie. Like Udta Punjab, Cat is set in the grim world of the drug mafia in Punjab and examines the horrific nexus of politicians and substances and how those in power responsible for the health of the state play a key role in poisoning it. Enter Gary, aka Gurnam Singh, played by Randeep Hooda. In his youth, Gary helped the police by going undercover to help bring down a terrorist organization. But now, as one character says, in Punjab, the scourge of terrorism has now been replaced by the plague of powder and narcotics. After living a normal civilian life for years, Gary is forced to go undercover yet again, this time to bring down the drug operation of a local MLA, Madam Aulak. Once again, Gary must become a cat. Okay, let's at least try and be adults about this and take that title seriously, shall we? Created by Balwinder Singh Janjua, Cat uses a tense undercover behind enemy lines thriller to examine personal trauma, drugs, corruption, and the turbulent history of Punjab. It's a great idea for a series. And yet Cat is so busy trying to fit the template of what the creators think makes a great, layered, dense show that it majorly misses the mark and forgets to serve up the bare basics of coherent, cohesive storytelling. For one, there's a coating of superficial, clumsy awkwardness over the narrative. Everything from the scattered writing to the odd staging to even the editing feels desperately cobbled together, making for a frustratingly bumpy ride. Unlike more formidable shows like Tabbar and Mai, which are similarly about ordinary people put in extraordinary, morally messy situations, in Cat, you barely feel the stakes or get a sense of the escalating tension. In fact, over 8 episodes, I can't even think of a single truly heart-racing sequence, which is impressive. For example, we get a serviceable pilot episode that ends with self-serving, scheming senior officer, Sehtab Singh, played by an impressive Suvinder Vicky, convincing a reluctant Gary to become a cat once again.
Banega mere liye ek bari fair cat.
But in the bafflingly paced second episode, Gary is suddenly and instantly an infiltration expert. There's no sense of stumbling or being in over his head or the emotional implications of literally throwing his life aside. Nope, Gary is just off to the races. He's sent to prison to befriend a member of Madam Aulak's criminal organization, and in mere minutes, Gary happens to become best friends with the bad guys and joins the organization overnight. In one rushed montage, we go from Gary being a nobody to him quickly rising up the ranks. It's silly, drastic, and painfully convenient. Like this, Cat is so possessed with jumping to the next plot point that the characters are thrown under the bus with little logic or reasoning as to how they do what they do. We see Gary stake out the homes of bad guys in plain sight by awkwardly hiding behind newspapers, while eavesdropping on conversations that just happen to tell him everything he needs to know when he needs to know it. He kills, manipulates, and extracts information with ease and is always at the right place at the right time. Easiest bloody spying gig in the world. Also, I guess we're just supposed to assume that he had no friends or people in his life up till this point, as we see nothing of his old life. Make no mistake, he's less of a character and more of a lazy narrative device. But even at its clumsiest, the Gary Mafia infiltration story is still somewhat engaging. But writers Balwinder Singh Janjua, Rupinder Chahal, Anil Rodhan, and Jimmy Singh keep pulling us away from the action to give us subplots and asides and uninteresting characters to artificially pad up the series. The clumsy design of the show is so transparent that there's very little narrative momentum to hold on to or get lost in. After a point, I started to picture an overexcited group of kids who just got together and said, okay, let's reverse engineer what makes a great Netflix crime thriller series. What do we need? Some moodiness? Okay, great. Throw in a few random subplots, maybe a jerky cliffhanger. Ooh, what about some depressing backstory flashbacks to open each episode, you know? It's unfocused, frustrating, and doesn't widen or deepen the show as much as it takes away from it. Cat is also an unintentional masterclass in how shoddy sound work can be a major deal breaker and yank you out of a story. The dubbing is jarring and particularly patchy. It's 2022. Why exactly are we supposed to tolerate lazy sound work? Maybe it's because the original language of this show is largely Punjabi and they had to dub it in Hindi as well. I don't know. But when you hear a character say a badly dubbed line, even though his mouth isn't even moving, it kind of stops mattering. But credit where it's due, it's entirely to Randeep Hooda's credit that even when the show around him is barely holding together, and despite him playing a painfully uneven character, as Gary he remains endlessly watchable, bringing a quiet dependability and sense of inner turmoil to the character. But with this, Randeep continues his unfortunate streak of being very good as a lead in movies and shows that just aren't. Similarly, for what it's worth, I did love the casting of the show, full of new faces and talents we've rarely seen before. Abhishant Rana as the younger Gary, Geeta Agarwal as Madam Olak, and Sukhvinder Chahal as Mukhtiar in particular all shine. A remarkable misfire, Cat is all flimsy formula and no finesse. It offers the illusion and empty packaging of grand twists, tension and backstabbing with none of the substance. If Cat was an actual cat, it would be the kind that's jumpy, overexcited and all over the place with a limited attention span. Yeah, that's where I'm at emotionally. I'm now making dumb cat metaphors. You can watch Cat on Netflix India. If you, like me, think the finest Hindi language storytelling is all on streaming shows, then be sure to check out Film Companion's 2022 Streaming Adda, where we spoke to the actors responsible for some of the finest performances of the year.